Hey, you're back, and you've stumbled upon Campfiretalk's Enzo Trapper build 4.0. Today we're going to shape some handle scales and finish sand them and get ready for finish. We're going to do that, and then we're going to finish fixing the blade grind. It's a scandi grind, but I think it might have a micro bevel on it when it's done. So stay with me, guys. We're going to make some sawdust and see if we can make a knife handle that fits the hand. Hi gang, Rob here. It's the afternoon of 8 June 2014, and here's where we stand. We have a glued up handle. Spot right here in one of the red liners. It's just eroded a little bit, and I couldn't seem to remove enough material quickly enough by hand, so I went out and bought a new tool slash toy, and I'm going to take it out in the garage, and we're going to kind of finish shaping this handle, at least roughing it out so it fits the hand on the new 1x30 grinder. I've actually done a little bit of work with it already. Here's one side of the scale. I just wanted to see how it ate the brass, and that's another reason I bought a belt sander, is because my rasp was doing fine on the wood, but it just didn't like the brass, and I knew I was going to end up with some kind of a funky surface. So we went electric. So come on out in the garage with me and I'll show you some of that process. Okay guys, we've got our $50 Harbor Freight Central Machinery 1x30 grinder. It's got a platen, it's got a tool rest table, it's got a very poor tracking adjustment. This top wheel is I guess it's sort of a contact wheel. It's made of hard rubber, but it's not great. We should have this little spark guard in place, but we don't, because I'm going to use this wheel in one radius. I have installed the cardboard sleeve on the blade and taped it in place. I really don't want to get cut if this tool gets caught. Let's see. I'm going to finish shaping the underside of the knife, and doggone, I'm probably going to get in your way, but here goes. Pretty good. I've got just Just a little bit of no cleanup right up here in the choil that I can take care of by hand. Other than that, looking pretty good. Now I'm going to make this transition. Try to make it square and straight across. I'm using a slack portion of the belt above the flatten. Now I'm going to come to the spine. I've got this little area of no cleanup where my liner kind of ate away. I'm going to try to get rid of that. I think that's pretty good. Now I'm going to start shaping the handle. now I just want to look things over, make sure they're symmetrical, at least to the point that I can get the rest out by hand. And I think we can. Gonna have to go back in and touch up my thumb divots a little bit. Paying pretty close attention to the scratch pattern on these brass pins. Just make sure I get them flush. And I get my scratches out. Well guys, we're all the way through the 100 grit paper. We're up into the 220. Well guys, here is essentially the knife. This handle is completely shaped, and it is sanded through the 220 grit paper, and I'm not going any farther. I'm going to take it to 400 before I apply the boiled linseed oil finish, but I'm not going to go any farther past 220 until I get the blade done. You might be able to tell I've done a little work on this scandi grind already to even it up. See if I can get that for you. It's almost there, and the way I've done this so far, I'm going to continue. Let me move the camera and I'll show you. Okay, what I'm doing is taking a piece of sandpaper and cutting it to width on this nice piece of poplar trim that's been planed, and using a little Loctite spray adhesive, applying it to the back of the sandpaper, letting it tack up a little bit, and then gluing it down to this board. And I'm just using a stropping motion, and I'm just gonna, I've got a little more evening up to do, and I'm going to take it, this is at 100 grit, I'm going to take it to 220, just make it look pretty, and then nobody tell Campfiretalk, because he's kind of a scandi grind purist, but I'm going to put a tiny polished micro bevel on it, just a tiny one, because I just have no faith in I have no faith in the refinement of a scandi ground edge. You're just riding on too much material to get a consistent edge on, I think. Maybe some guys can do it. I want this knife to cut, so I'm going to kind of finish it my way. Couple things. The 1x30 grinder was a godsend. It really helped kind of clean up, especially these inside radiuses on the underside of the handle. It helped keep my brass pins sort of flush without being lumpy to my wood. As you guys know, if you sand anything, if you've got a hard material surrounded by softer material, when you start sanding, pretty soon this ends up raised, and the back pins are pretty good. Can't really feel them. The front pins, because they're sort of at the beginning of my thumb divots, you can feel them just a little more, but it came out pretty good. And as you can see, not really any voids to speak of around the pins, maybe just at the front of this one from drilling. You know, if I had a drill press instead of my elbow, that might have been a little better, but all in all, I'm pretty happy. One thing I did do, I didn't mention, I had an old bamboo tomato plant stick with one section of it that was about the same diameter as my thumb divot. And after sanding on the grinder, on the 1x30 belt grinder, I had to sort of touch these up, and this is what I did. I just wrapped my bamboo in sandpaper and just sort of went back in and trued up those divots and made them a little deeper so they were usable. And ended up hardly using my rasp on this project. Just decided it would be a better end result if I went out and bought a grinder, and I'll use that grinder anyway. So I think, guys, it came out really well. I'm pretty happy with it. I hope Campfiretalk is. It was completely shaped every step of the way, stopping and starting, fitting it to the hand, and it is a left-handed bushcraft knife. The reason it's left-handed is this scale on this side, which is where it'll be in your palm, is a little rounder, a little thicker. This scale is a little flatter, especially right through here. In fact, it might actually go just a touch concave because it's kind of where your fingertips end up. And man, I'll tell you what, whether you're back on the knife and your thumb knuckle rests, the knuckle rests in that divot, or whether you come forward a little bit and you let your thumb wrap around, I can't really get that where you can see it. You let your thumb wrap around the end of that scale, the knife is just super comfortable. It's very good in a saber grip. I'm not sure you use a bushcraft knife much in a saber grip, but it's very good. For draw cuts, oh my. I'm telling you what, oh my. That might be the most comfortable draw cut grip I've ever felt. Oh, golly. You know what? First knife handle I've ever made. And I know I made some mistakes. When I was cutting the assembled scales and liners to size, my saber saw got a little out of control. I got a little over my line, too close to my blade tang. So I've got a couple low spots in the liner. Actually, the one on the inside of the handle pretty much came all the way out. The one on the spine, well, you know, I said there was going to be a mistake or two that only I would see. I'm going to show it to you. You can see there's just a little low spot in the red liner near the spine. But all in all, I'm pretty happy, and when the knife has an edge on it and it heads to Tennessee, I think Campfiretalk's going to be happy. So guys, probably 2 more parts to this video. One of me showing you what I did with the edge, and then one probably showing applying linseed oil to the handle and the finished product. So stick with me, probably a 5.0 and a 6.0, and then we'll send her home. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the word is sharp.